Most people wake up every morning already defeated, not because they are weak, not because they are incapable, but because they are trapped inside an employee mindset they were never taught to escape from. A mindset that tells them safety is success, obedience is intelligence, and comfort is the ultimate goal. And from the moment you accept that mindset, you silently agree to live a small life while calling it stability. You trade freedom for a paycheck and convince yourself that this trade is mature, responsible, and smart, when in reality it is the most expensive deal you will ever sign because it costs you your time, your energy, your ambition, and eventually your soul. And the worst part is you don't even realize you're bleeding because the system pays you just enough to stay quiet, just enough to stay tired, just enough to keep dreaming but never doing, just enough to survive but never build. And that is how the employee mindset kills potential without ever firing a shot. The employee mindset teaches you to wait, to ask for permission, to look for approval, to measure your worth by someone else's evaluation, to believe that if you work hard enough for someone else's dream, one day you'll be rewarded with security. But security is a lie sold to fearful people who don't want to take responsibility for their own future. Because nothing in this world is secure except your ability to adapt, think, and move. And when you hand over your financial destiny to a job, a company, or a boss, you are placing your life in hands that will always choose profit over you, always choose numbers over loyalty, always choose survival over sentiment. And when the moment comes, and it always comes, you will be replaced without emotion, without apology, without hesitation, because employees are expenses, not assets. And if that sentence hurts, it's because it's true. An investor mindset begins the moment you stop asking, "How much do I get paid?" and start asking, "How does money move?" Because employees trade time for money, but investors trade money, skills, and patience for ownership, leverage, and growth. And ownership is the only position in the economic food chain that gives you power, control, and long-term freedom. Yet ownership is avoided by the masses because it demands thinking, responsibility, and delayed gratification. And most people would rather suffer comfortably today than struggle intelligently for a better tomorrow. So they choose the familiar pain of employment over the unfamiliar challenge of investing, building, and owning. The brutal truth is this: the employee mindset is reactive. The investor mindset is proactive. The employee waits for instructions. The investor creates direction. The employee asks, "What should I do?" The investor asks, "What problem can I solve?" The employee fears mistakes because mistakes threaten their income. The investor embraces mistakes because mistakes sharpen judgment. And this single difference in perspective determines whether you will spend your life maintaining someone else's system or building a system that works for you even when you sleep. Employees are trained to focus on tasks. Investors are trained to focus on outcomes. Employees obsess over hours. Investors obsess over leverage. Employees think in weeks and pay cycles. Investors think in decades and compounding curves. And that is why one group remains stuck running on a treadmill, while the other quietly builds momentum that eventually becomes unstoppable. And understand this clearly: no one wakes up one day and magically becomes an investor. It is a violent mental shift that requires you to kill old beliefs, detach from false comfort, and accept temporary uncertainty in exchange for permanent growth. You were taught to be an employee from childhood, trained to follow rules, memorize answers, fear failure, and respect authority without question, and none of that education prepared you to understand money, risk, ownership, or leverage. Because the system does not need thinkers, it needs workers. It does not need owners, it needs participants. And if everyone became an investor, the system would collapse. So instead, you are rewarded for compliance and punished for curiosity, praised for obedience and criticized for ambition. And slowly, subtly, your hunger dies while your excuses grow stronger. The investor mindset is ruthless because it forces you to see reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. It forces you to accept that no one is coming to save you. No company owes you loyalty, no economy owes you opportunity, and no boss owes you fairness. And once you accept that, you stop complaining and start calculating. You stop hoping and start planning. You stop reacting and start positioning yourself, because investors don't complain about the market. They study it. They don't blame the economy. They exploit inefficiencies within it, and they don't wait for permission to win. Employees think income is the goal. Investors know income is a tool. Employees chase races. Investors chase equity. Employees ask for promotions. Investors acquire positions. And while employees fight for a slightly bigger slice of a fixed pie, investors focus on building bakeries that produce pies endlessly. And this is why an employee's ceiling is always defined by someone else's decision, while an investor's ceiling is defined only by their ability to think, learn, and execute. To move from employee mindset to investor mindset, you must first detach your identity from your job, because as long as your self-worth is tied to your title, your salary, or your employer's validation, you will never take the risks required to build something of your own. You will protect the image instead of building the asset. You will defend the comfort instead of attacking the opportunity, and you will choose safety over growth every single time. And safety is the slowest way to die. Investors understand that money is not earned. It is attracted through value creation, ownership, and positioning. And that means your first investment is not stocks, real estate, or businesses. It is your mindset, your skills, and your ability to see opportunities where others see obstacles. Because without that foundation, every external investment becomes gambling. And gamblers always lose eventually, while investors survive because they understand risk, probability, and long-term strategy. The employee mindset avoids responsibility because responsibility feels heavy. But the investor mindset embraces responsibility because responsibility equals control, and control equals freedom. And that is why employees constantly feel trapped, exhausted, and stressed even when they are doing everything right, because deep down they know they are working hard without building anything that truly belongs to them. They are busy but not progressing, occupied but not advancing, and activity without ownership is just disguised stagnation. This shift is not comfortable. It will force you to confront your spending habits, your excuses, your lack of financial education, and your fear of uncertainty. It will demand discipline when motivation disappears, patience when results are slow, and courage when everyone around you tells you to be realistic. But realism is just fear dressed as logic. And every investor who ever won big was once called unrealistic, irresponsible, or crazy by people who chose comfort over courage. You must understand that investors are not reckless dreamers. They are calculated thinkers. They take risks, yes, but they take intelligent risks, risks backed by research, strategy, and vision, while employees take the biggest risk of all without realizing it. The risk of depending on a single income source controlled by someone else. The risk of inflation eating their savings. The risk of layoffs destroying their stability. And the risk of waking up at 50 realizing they traded decades of time for nothing they truly own. The investor mindset trains you to ask brutal questions. Questions like, if my income stopped today, how long would I survive? What assets am I building that will pay me in 5, 10, or 20 years? Am I consuming more than I'm creating? And is my current path leading to freedom or dependency? And these questions hurt, but pain is information, and investors use pain as feedback, not as an excuse to quit. You cannot serve two mindsets at once. You cannot think like an employee and expect investor results. You cannot crave comfort and expect growth. You cannot fear loss and expect ownership. And you cannot avoid responsibility and expect freedom, because freedom is expensive and the price is paid up front in discipline, uncertainty, and relentless self-education. And most people are not willing to pay that price, so they criticize those who do. This transition does not mean you quit your job tomorrow. It means you stop letting your job define your future. It means you use your income as fuel, not as a destination. It means you allocate time, energy, and money toward building assets instead of upgrading lifestyle. Because investors delay gratification while employees upgrade consumption, and that single decision compounds over years into two completely different lives. The employee mindset asks, how can I spend this? The investor mindset asks, how can I multiply this? The employee mindset looks for guarantees. The investor mindset looks for probabilities. And once you start thinking in probabilities instead of promises, you stop being emotionally manipulated by fear, headlines, and opinions, and you start making decisions based on logic, data, and long-term vision. You will feel lonely during this transition because investor thinking separates you from the crowd. It changes how you see money, time, relationships, and even conversations. Thank you for listening to me. Make sure to subscribe my channel.